Poet Andrea Gibson, candid explorer of life, death, and identity, dies at 49. Cause of death and final words revealed, July 14th, 2025. Andrea Gibson, the award-winning spoken word poet known for their fearless examinations of identity, mental health, politics, and mortality, has died at the age of 49. Their family confirmed that Gibson passed peacefully at home in Boulder, Colorado, on the evening of July 14, following a long and courageous battle with ovarian cancer, a diagnosis they first shared with the public in 2021. In a final handwritten note found beside their bed, Gibson's last words read, "We are made of stardust, but also soft things. Don't forget to feel it all." Voice of a generation's vulnerability. Andrea Gibson was not just a poet, they were a movement, a voice that cracked through silence, a heart that spoke publicly about the most private of human experiences. Born on August 13, 1975, in Calais, Maine, Gibson, who used they-them pronouns, first discovered poetry as a tool of survival and resistance during their college years. After moving to Boulder, Colorado, they immersed themselves in the slam poetry scene and quickly gained national attention for their emotionally raw and socially charged performances. Their work tackled themes often left untouched: queer identity, gender fluidity, chronic illness, suicide, grief, political injustice, with such clarity and compassion that audiences around the world felt seen, often for the first time. Artistry rooted in truth. Over the span of 2 decades, Gibson published 8 poetry collections, including Pole Dancing to Gospel Hymns and You Better Be Lightning, and released multiple spoken word albums that became staples in LGBTQ+ circles, college classrooms, and protest gatherings alike. Their performances, part sermon, part confession, part conversation, earned them a devoted following. They weren't afraid to cry on stage. They weren't afraid to ask others to either. In 2019, Gibson won the Independent Publishers Award for Poetry and was a 4-time finalist in the Women of the World Poetry Slam. They famously said, "Poetry is not about sounding good, it's about sounding true." A public battle with mortality. In 2021, Gibson shared with fans that they had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In classic Andrea fashion, they responded with poems, reflections, and videos that were honest, brave, and often unexpectedly funny. They refused to sugarcoat the reality of illness. Instead, they illuminated the fear, beauty, and community that came with facing it head-on. Their Instagram and Substack became digital campfires where thousands gathered for solace and perspective. In a 2023 interview, Gibson said, "I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I'm afraid of leaving people who haven't yet learned how loved they are." Tributes from across the world. Following the announcement of their death, social media was flooded with tributes from artists, activists, and everyday people whose lives were deeply touched by Gibson's words. Alok Menon, poet and gender non-conforming writer, posted, "Andrea Gibson taught us how to live with tenderness, even in our rage. We owe them more than words. We owe them the courage to feel." Sarah Kay, fellow spoken word poet, wrote, "Andrea cracked the world open so we could see more of it. I hope we keep listening." A foundation to continue their mission. Gibson's family and close friends announced that a non-profit foundation, the Andrea Gibson Project, will be launched in their honor. It will support mental health care access for LGBTQ+ youth, creative writing scholarships, and cancer support initiatives for underserved communities. "Andrea lived and wrote like the world could still be saved," said their longtime partner, musician Megan Foley, "and maybe it can if we keep loving like they did." Final words and everlasting echo. Andrea Gibson once wrote, "Some people write poems, others are poems." Gibson was the latter, a walking, breathing, feeling poem whose impact will echo long beyond the final page. Their last words, "We are made of stardust, but also soft things. Don't forget to feel it all," encapsulate everything they stood for: radical honesty, softness as strength, and love without condition. Conclusion. Andrea Gibson's death at 49 leaves a profound silence, but not an empty one. It is filled with the thousands of poems they gifted to the world, and the countless lives made softer, braver, and more honest because of them. They did not just write about life, they lived the poetry. And now, in every open mic, every quiet grief, every tender revolution, Andrea's voice lives on.